What's up, everyone? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be bringing you another season preview and prediction video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today we're going to be doing the San Antonio Spurs and looking at their 2019-20 recap. They missed the playoffs for the first time in, I forget how long. It's been a while. They obviously were the best team for like 2 decades, basically, with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Greg Popovich. And the core is gone, and this looks like a new team. And it's weird because Pop is still there, obviously, but they're definitely younger. But they do still have a mix of old and young, and we'll get into it. But they're definitely shifting towards their young talent more and more by the season. And I think this is the season that they have to make the decision of, or finally look in the mirror and say, we need to move on. We need to stop trying to be a contender. I'll get into it, but looking at what they did this offseason, they drafted Devin Vassell from Florida State. I think he was like the 11th pick overall, something like that. And the thing with this draft is a lot of the guys, while they're not great players, they're role players, and I could just see it with Vassell. He hasn't seen the court a ton, and I don't think his percentages are great, but he's going to be a pretty good rotation shooting guard with some upside with creation ability. The only problem I have with this pick is that they already have a lot of guards, young guards who can create, like Lonnie Walker, Derek White, and DeJounte Murray. And Lonnie Walker already doesn't see enough minutes as is. Like, I'm not even going to talk about him because I only talk about the guys with the highest minutes, and he got cut out. So yeah, I definitely think it's weird that they continue to draft point guards, but also this league is turning to more of a guard league. So I guess they feel like getting skilled young guards is very useful. And I mean, he should be good. I think he'll be a good 3-and-D guy for them, and with some creation ability down the line if he reaches his potential, which with the Spurs he most likely will because they have a good development program. But yeah, Devin Vassell, 11th overall pick, I believe, from the Spurs. And then leaving them in free agency, not a lot. The biggest one is Bryn Forbes. He has a dumb name. It's literally Bryn. Like, I've never seen that before. Like, sorry, maybe that's mean, but Bryn? Like, what is that? Anyway, yeah, 3-point shooter. That's really it. That's his only above average NBA quality. Not a great defender. Can't really create much. He's a really good 3-point shooter, though. He can come around screens, shoot off the dribble a little bit. Yeah, it hits, knocks it down open, like stands still. He's just a really good 3-point shooter. And he's on the Bucks now, so maybe that'll be help for them. But yeah, not a great defender, not much of a creator. Honestly, a really bad defender. Like, he's small and undersized, so he gets kind of bullied. And in a playoff series, I could see him being singled out, and that would limit his minutes. So we'll see where Bryn Forbes' career goes in Milwaukee. So staying on this team, and there wasn't a lot of changing. They have Rudy Gay, who is 34 years old. He plays power forward, small forward for them. And he's a pretty good player for them. Really good mid-range shooter. Pretty good defender. Pretty switchable through like 2 to 4. He can guard some 5s. He's developed his 3-point shot. He's like league average now. So you can put him out there and he can catch and shoot for you. And he has some creation ability. I think he could be really good on a more like win now focused team. Because he still has a lot of offensive skills. He's good at creating off the dribble, good at mid-range, pretty good catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter, so I think you can throw him out there. Defensively, he's not bad, and he's just been in the league for a while, so he's a veteran, and he like understands winning basketball and what it, like, you know, like just having a veteran instead of, like, for teams that are playing younger guys, you'd rather give it to a guy who's 34 if you're trying to win now. So I think this is a guy who could be traded, and I'll get into that more at the end, but I like Rudy Gay on another team, not so much this team, because he's just older and he's taking minutes away from some young guys. And yeah, I think he's making like $12 million a year, so he's getting paid a good bit. But anyway, moving on, Keldon Johnson, who is another 2 to 3 on this team. He's mostly a guard. Like, he's a small forward if you're going to play him that way. But he's definitely more of a guard type player. But he's really good. He's a good 3-point shooter, really good off-ball player. I think he'll be just a perfect role player. Really good at I think he'll be good on defense. Not really good yet, but I think he could develop that. And then 3-point shooting, he's really good. He's shooting like 57% right now. Obviously, it's early in the season, so that's going to come back to earth. But he basically only shoots threes, and he's doing it efficiently. So I think he'll be a good role player for them. Another player, Patty Mills, who is another older player on this team, and he's one I definitely think they should trade. They have too much young guard talent for him to stay on this roster. And I want my team, the Knicks, to trade for him. I think we need shooting desperately. But anyway, Patty Mills, really good three-point shooter, has been that for his whole career. Shoots upper 30 to 40% every season. Can shoot off the dribble, can shoot set, can shoot around screens. Just a really good three-point shooter. Has creation ability too. Not great defensively. I think he's like a better DJ Augustine. Like, he can dribble the ball for you. He can make and shoot open threes at a high clip. Has some creation ability, like getting to the hole. He's like average at that. Like, he's gonna, if there's a lane to lay it up, he's gonna do that. Defensively, he's not bad against other guards, but if he's just too small, or he is just too small sometimes. So that's Patty Mills for you. Another player, DeJounte Murray, who was signed last year. He's probably their best young player right now, or most consistent at least. Really good defensive player. Long, athletic guard. Really long wingspan, so can disrupt a lot of passes. Cuts off a lot of driving lanes just from his length alone. And just really good at getting into passing lanes and stealing the ball, and just a really good on-ball defender. Offensively, still needs to grow. Not a great shooter yet. He's having his best offensive year so far this year. He's averaging like 16 points a game. He's pretty good at taking it to the rim, finishing around the rim. Pretty good passer, but yeah, shooting needs to get better, especially now how important shooting is in the league. So he definitely needs to get better at that. And then their young center, one of their few young, he's not even that young, he's like 27, Jakob Poeltl, who was part of the Kawhi Leonard trade. They got him and DeMar DeRozan back, which is kind of funny to think about. But yeah, he's a average center. He's a pretty good shot blocker, actually. That's probably his best thing. He's really good protecting the rim, pretty good defensively, but offensively, he's just a run, jump, dunk guy. Like, good at setting screens, catching lobs, getting dump off passes and dunking, laying it in. Not much more than that. Not a three-point shooter, not a mid-range shooter even, really. Pretty unskilled at that end, but defensively he's really good. Another player, Derek White, who had a really good playoff series against the Nuggets 2 years ago in round one. He looked like an all-star then. He's kind of regressed from there, and I'm not sure. That might have been just like a little lightning in the bottle situation. I think he can be a pretty good, like, non-main option scorer for you, like a guy who averages like 16 points a game off the bench, like a six-man guy. I don't think he could be your number one scorer. He's pretty good defensively too. Like, he is pretty thick for his size, so he's good against other guards. And not a great passer, but yeah, just a good scorer, pretty good defender. I think he could be a really good six-man. I don't know if he's like can be your offensive option though. And then looking at the stars of this team, DeMar DeRozan, who was also part of the Kawhi Leonard trade, and his value has really dropped. And I think if he gets traded, he'll show that he's still a good player. He's averaged over 20 points a game for his whole career, basically. He's really good at getting to the rim and scoring, like driving the ball. Really good mid-range shooter. Not a great or very good three-point shooter. He just seems unwilling to shoot them. And yeah, his game is definitely old school. He's more of an inside guy, put his head down, get to the rim, but he's efficient at it, and he does it well. And when you need to win games, he actually is pretty good at getting you a bucket. So as much as he is anti-modern basketball and stats and analytics, he's still a good player, and I think there's a lot of teams that could use a guy like him. And then LaMarcus Aldridge, who I still have a lot of hope for. I think some people are saying he's washed. I don't think he's washed. I think defensively, yeah, he's not going to do great for you. He could still be a really good scorer. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes. He shot them this year, okay. But I think he can actually do that for you. Really good mid-range shooter. Just a really good scorer for a big, really skilled. And yeah, he's super smart. He's been around for a while. Defensively, like I said, he'll hurt you because he's a little slower now. Yeah, you can't ask him to step out, really. He'll do the right things if you're like asking him to just be a center, but once you ask him to switch, you're not going to be able to switch with him, basically. So, yeah, looking at this team, I really like some of the talent they have, young talent-wise. I didn't get to talk about Lonnie Walker, but he's pretty good. He's really good in the open court. Derek White, like I said, could be a six-man type guy. DeJounte Murray, really good defender and inside scorer, needs to improve his jump shooting. But this team, I feel like, is not going to make the playoffs and maybe make the play-in. But I think if they started to trade some of the assets they have from like back when they were more of a contender, I think they could get a lot back for that and really restart this rebuild in the right way. Like kind of like what OKC did. Like they just sold all their assets. They got rid of Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari, Chris Paul, and Dennis Schroeder. Traded all of them and got a lot of draft picks and young players back. I think they could do a similar thing with Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge, and DeMar DeRozan. If they're really set on winning games this year, I guess, yeah, keep them and see what happens. But I just don't see this team being that good in the West, like good enough to make the playoffs and make a run. And I feel like just keeping these guys, you're just going to lose them for nothing. So I would trade them, try to rebuild, get ahead of this rebuild so you're not in a situation where you're left with the young guys you have now and nothing else because you let the older veterans just play out the contracts and walk. So that's what I would do. I would trade some of those players and get a head start on this rebuild. Let me know what you would do in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.